When you lined up at Milwaukee City Hall to pay your combined property tax bill or mailed it in, you were helping pay for, among other things, essential city services. You were also helping make investments in areas designed to enhance Milwaukee's future growth. Helping because your property tax only pays a portion of the costs of your government.
The city's overall budget, just using 1995 numbers, in round numbers, is about $1 billion. And that includes a number of sources, capital, operating, things people see day to day, garbage being picked up, police on the street, firefighters. The revenues that are used to offset that come from a variety of sources. The principal source of revenue is indeed the state shared piece and intergovernmental revenues. Our estimate is it's somewhere in the high, about $283 million that we receive in state aids, the biggest piece of that being state shared revenue.
It is, of course, our money and that of other state taxpayers coming back to us. Latest available figures show Milwaukeeans sent about $250 million income tax dollars to Madison in 1993. We got back nearly that much in shared revenues.
City residents are contributing about $400 to $500 million to the state, and the city is getting a little bit of it back, but not entirely, maybe as much as $300, but not the entire $400 to $500 million. People should start thinking, well, hey, yeah, that's not just going to state funding or activities. That's also coming back to me to support the activities I enjoy at home.
A look at one 1994 tax bill illustrates the shared tax impact. You may have paid more attention to and better recognize the impact of what are called tax credits. The school tax credit, county sales tax credit, and the lottery credit directly reduce the amount of property tax you owe. But in this report, we focus on another area of the bill. Major state aids reduce the amount each taxing unit would need to charge you if there were no shared revenues. As you see in this bill, the direct state aids to the schools, county, and city have reduced the total liability for this taxpayer, even before credits, by more than 50%. The property taxes paid by you and your neighbors for the city portion of the 1994 bill total nearly $150 million. But the largest single source of financing for the city's general operations came from state-shared revenues, nearly $235 million, including a payment which rewards communities that hold down spending. It's obvious how much higher your bill would be without these state aids. Budget Director Steve Agostini says the shared revenues are sizable and critical to holding down the property tax. But even with them, he assures city residents he still watches every penny.
We have to be very vigilant that because that is not likely to grow at inflation, that people are getting value for every dollar. As the mayor is fond of saying, it doesn't matter if the state or the city or the county is levying that particular tax or fee. It's all coming out of the same pocket, and that's an individual who lives in the city, whether it's you or myself or others who have nothing to do with city government. And I think it's really incumbent upon us to be sure that folks are getting value for their money, and if I'm not doing that, I should hear about it.
During budget hearings last year, Mayor John Norquist, with Agostini at his side, talked about the importance of shared tax revenues to cities like Milwaukee, helping to equalize property taxes and reduce tax islands.
And that's been the foundation for metropolitan stability in the state. It's one of the reasons we haven't had the kind of dramatic tax differences. If you go to Detroit, Michigan, and you compare Detroit's taxes with many of the suburbs around it, they're 8 or 10 times higher in the city of Detroit than they are in the suburbs around them, and that creates a very powerful incentive not to do business in those cities. So this tax sharing has really been important. It is a relatively inexpensive, compared to school aid, inexpensive way to equalize taxes. The net effect of this has been to help stabilize municipal government tax rates. and help to create a climate where businesses aren't hopping across municipal boundaries automatically because of tax differences.
There are proposals at the state level to provide nearly $1 billion more in state aids to public schools, coupled with a reduction in local property taxes. It's too soon to know what the impact will be on our property tax bills or shared revenues. No decision is expected until the fall, but there will be an impact.
Whether the reduction in Milwaukee will be on the same order as large as it is in some surrounding jurisdictions is still up to debate. And I think that's where the mayor has some concerns. He's been voicing some opinions about that. I think also that a number of local officials, including Howard Fuller, have been raising that issue. I think it's safe to say that state aid, school aids will go up, that consequently property taxes associated with funding school activities will go down. Will they go down in Milwaukee as much as they have in some surrounding jurisdictions? We're not sure of that, and we're very concerned about it.
Governments must provide essential services to their citizens, and Milwaukee officials are working to ensure the delivery of those services as efficiently as possible to help hold down the tax rate. According to our 1995 budget summary, the more we reduce our reliance on the property tax, leaving more dollars in private hands, the more likely it is the Milwaukee economy will prosper.
When we ensure that we're not taking more out than we need to, we're doing what we can for the economy. In our last budget document, we did a study on the impact of lowering taxes over the previous 7 years in these budgets in the city, and we believe that just over 1,000 jobs were created in that because of those activities, and that millions and millions of dollars of economic wealth were left in people's pockets. The importance of that shouldn't be lost, because as we're doing that, we're ensuring that value is being created in the city, that we're not detracting from that, and that the city is on a better growth path, so to speak, for prosperity.
In summers past, as many as 500 Milwaukee teenagers have had an opportunity to gain some work experience through federally funded, city government-sponsored programs. They worked with many city departments, earning some summer cash, learning what it's like to hold a job. But there aren't as many summer opportunities this year with the city, the result of fewer federal dollars.
There's a trend towards more of the academic training programs versus actual employment programs. And so through the federal budgets, we're looking at approximately a 30% decrease in funds or reductions.
But city government isn't giving up and is doing what it can, even with the reductions.
Exactly. Even though we're going to experience those cuts, which will reduce our normal federally funded program from approximately 300 to 100 federally funded jobs, the city is still going forward and will support approximately 150 to 200 summer employment jobs.
The summer jobs run 20 hours a week, 6 to 8 weeks, from minimum wage to $6 an hour. The teens will be doing a variety of things: clerical work, interning in the forestry department, acting as aides to city housing, maintenance, and environmental departments.
When you see yourself, take the name tag, please.
This is another part of the city's summer youth employment effort. 20 students from Custer High School, working with, learning from employees of Milwaukee's Department of City Development. The teens are from the MPS new School to Work program.
The premise of School to Work is to have students understand that their schoolwork is relevant to the job market eventually. And sometimes when you're 14 and 15 years old and other things are happening in your life, you don't know why math makes a difference or spelling makes a difference. And I think, at least as we see it, the idea is to have these students understand how important their schoolwork is to what their life is going to become.
The summer job opportunities for these Custer students were designed to appeal to their interests and the activities of the department. Computer graphics, engineering and architecture, real estate development. There were sessions on the marketing of special city activities, writing news releases, and some hands-on planning of this fall's River Haunt activities during the Halloween weekend. They won't just plan and design, but work there as well.
Because when we asked the students what they wanted more than anything else, they wanted a job, is really what they wanted. So we will be employing these students. They will be coming and we will be finding them jobs not just within the city, but also with some of our partners on the Riverwalks.
Much of the department's time this summer is focused on the Riverwalk, now under construction, checking the thousands of plans for improving and fully utilizing the Milwaukee River. So it was only natural that a group of the Custer students went on a field trip on a cold April day, getting acquainted with what's along the river, giving some thought to what can be done to improve features of existing buildings while preserving natural riverbanks and historic elements of the area.
Actually, I'm looking forward to getting a job, like working around, so I wouldn't be sitting around the house doing nothing.
Yeah.
And then school work programs is just to give you an idea of what you're going to be doing when you actually get your job in the future and stuff.
School to work, you think, gives you a pretty good idea of what the world is like outside of school?
Yeah, and because they put you out there where everything is, and so it gives you like an idea of what you're gonna expect once you get out there.
Many summer jobs are paid for by federal funds channeled through the local private industry council. With the federal budget cuts, the city hopes the private sector will do even more than in the past to bring job experiences to the young people of our community. But the city expects to do its share as well.
Well, I think it's important that the city make sure that we are having an impact on our young people, be it through jobs, be it through academic support services. With the Milwaukee Guarantee, which is an academic support program initiated by the mayor's office, we're offering opportunities for admissions into college and opportunities for permanent employment. So I think it's important that the city be aware of the needs of our young people, and through OII, we plan on facilitating that activity for the city.
A cloudy, rainy day in mid-April in Milwaukee, and in the shadow of City Hall buildings, early spring daffodils were doing what they could to brighten the downtown, a colorful hint of what's to follow. At the same time, April showers and gray skies also dominated the scenery at this site, a few miles south of the city boundary, in Franklin. Since 1927, home to the Milwaukee Municipal Nursery. It may have been colorless outside, but inside there was evidence that summer was near, in the form of thousands of perennials and annual flowers. Grown by the city's Bureau of Forestry, prepared to be ready for planting and blooming by Memorial Day. The city-owned nursery will provide about 175,000 flowering annuals this summer, along with thousands of other prairie plants and shrubs. The nursery maintains nearly 30,000 trees. About 6,000 will be harvested this year. That work begins as soon as the weather permits. Growing our own hardy varieties allows for cost and quality control and helps the plants adapt to Milwaukee weather conditions.
With different trees, some tree species, it's better to plant in spring rather than in fall. And we do a fall planting, but we'll only select those types of trees that are hardy. For any other type of planting, such as a shrubbery and definitely the annuals, we do that in spring. And with types of plants that we'll select are the hardiest for the area.
The Bureau of Forestry designs, plants, and maintains over 120 miles of boulevards through residential and commercial neighborhoods. Crews also plant and landscape city buildings, green spaces, tot lots, and other beautification projects. Sometimes you just have to give a boost to Mother Nature, especially in a winter climate like Milwaukee, especially when you want to see the shrubs, flowers, and plants bursting forth seemingly overnight.
Our city nursery plants and propagates all of the trees that the city uses, and they would also continue to propagate all of the annuals that we plant on the medians throughout the city. And that propagation begins in February, and about this time, which is April, they'd be doing the seeding and also the cuttings that would later be planted out here on the medians.
The city-owned nursery boasts of over 200 types of trees. There are another 200-plus varieties of shrubs on the 160 acres of land. In fact, variety abounds in every category of plant.
Perennials, the same goes for that. There's well over 270 different types that we could use, but we're trying to select the hardiest of the group and the perennials that give us the most impact as far as color and texture and so forth. With the annuals, there's 85 different types of flowers that we plant, and they're all geared towards color, texture, and size.
It won't be long, and pictures like this from previous summers will be beautifying our city. Flowers, shrubs, and trees are among those quality-of-life items that make Milwaukee a better place in which to live, softening the impact of the urban forest.
It enhances our environment. It gives us a good place to live and work in. Medians do tend to increase property values. And for visitors that come into the city, definitely we're well known for the medians that we have nationwide.
The city plunged into RiverSplash several years ago with a vision. The idea that it was possible to develop the Milwaukee River, to prove that it could become a tourist attraction. And the free 4-day, 10-block-long celebration is evidence that the vision has become reality.
The first RiverSplash took place in June of 1990. It was simply an afternoon and evening on a Friday. We tagged on to the Milwaukee Journal's Rainbow Summer. We kind of knew we had something going for us the next day when the newspaper headline said 20,000 flocked to the banks of the river, which was far more than we expected. Last year we celebrated our 5th RiverSplash. It was by far and away the most successful. We have no gates, we have no fences, we have no turnstiles, we have no idea how many people showed up. But our best estimate was approximately 250,000 people over the course of the 4 days of the event, which again is far more successful than any of us ever hoped for. Part of the result of the success of RiverSplash, at least we like to think, is the fact that the Riverwalk is under construction right now. RiverSplash is best described as a potluck event. We at the city, in the marketing division, basically try to keep our arms around it and keep it from spinning out of control, and so far we've managed that. But I call it potluck simply in terms of all the existing entities along the river kind of do their own thing. Old World 3rd Street behind us does an old-fashioned picnic. Usinger's is there, so of course Usinger's brats and hot dogs are served and sold in Usinger's parking lot. The bars and restaurants on Water Street put on a block party. Schlitz Park, which was the first new marina to be developed along the river in years and years, has become involved in that, and there's a full Saturday of activity up there, including water skiing that takes place on the river, something that, people still get a kick out of because nobody would have thought, 6-7 years ago that you'd be water skiing on the Milwaukee River. We have activity from Wisconsin Avenue all the way up to Pleasant Street at Schlitz Park. The PAC will be involved this year. Most of the activity takes place here in Pierre Marquette Park. We work closely with the Milwaukee County Park System and various sponsors to make this the focal point, since this is sort of the centerpiece of the Riverwalk development right now.
What's where? There's something new and different every day, so you'll want to pick up a RiverSplash brochure. Inside, you'll find a map, each area along the river color-coded, to help you find just what you want when you want it.
The brochure contains everything. The food that's available, the bands that are playing, where they're playing, what times they're playing. There's a map so everybody knows where things are happening. That is available. We try to make it available almost anywhere you can think of.
RiverSplash started with the idea that the river can be what Milwaukee is often called, a gathering place by the waters. And the city's commitment to the Riverwalk system will make our river a year-round attraction.
The one thing we don't want to have happen is for people to think that the Riverwalk is a place you only come to when there's an event going on. We want people to come here all the time. We want to develop programming in cooperation with the businesses along the river, so that somebody sitting at home one night says, what should we do? The answer will be, let's go down to the river, because they know something will be going on. We want people to feel comfortable, know that they're going to have a good time whenever they come to this area. And there are so many more businesses, bars, restaurants, theaters, newly designed parks. There's lots to do on the river now.